welcome back to the Rode Show, where we provide tips, tools, and information for non-professional RØDECasters and Ecamm Live users. Join me on my journey. I invite you to become a Rode warrior by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and always consistently leaving a comment. SLC. Subscribe, like, and comment. That is the acronym for you. You got what I'm saying? But listen, welcome. And listen, today in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to do a RØDECaster Pro 2 tutorial. That's right. This is basically a beginner setup to using the RØDECaster Pro 2. Now, congratulations on your purchase of the RØDECaster Pro 2. And this is what we're going to do right now. We get ready to transition to the TRS 4000. That's a technologically advanced Skycam. It's out in space right now. It's orbiting the Earth. So I've typed in the grid coordinates to my location. And now what it's going to do is going to show us the RØDECaster Pro 2. You know, let's go. Oh my goodness, look at this beautiful piece of technology. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now what you're looking at right now, of course, is the RØDECaster Pro 2. It's a beautiful piece of machinery, a great piece of technology. I think it's awesome. I hope that you feel that it's awesome as well. You see this screen right here? This is a 5.5 inch touch screen, and I really enjoy this touch screen. So when I first get this RØDECaster Pro 2, what I did is I oriented myself to the technology that I'm going to use. So that's what I'm going to do to you. So now, of course, this is the record button. You know, you just hit that button and it's going to record whatever you say. Now, what I'm doing is I am assuming that you have a microphone, an XLR microphone, and I am assuming that that microphone is plugged into the back of your RØDECaster Pro 2, and I am assuming that you have a micro SD card, and that micro SD card is inserted into the back of this RØDECaster Pro 2. Now, of course, I am doing a lot of assuming. So they tell me never to assume, but I am assuming that you're doing the right thing. So please do the right thing. You got me? Okay, so now these are the channel buttons. This is, since I'm just dealing with you and you're a beginner, we're going to deal with this channel 1. So, but like I said, these are the channel buttons. These are the channel faders. These are the fader knobs, of course. And let me say, this is the listen button. This is the mute button. This is what they're calling a rotary encoder. Of course, these are your smart pads. And if you want to switch between these smart pads, then you're going to hit the bank switching buttons. And these two are the bank switching buttons. Of course, these are your headphone output controls. I think this is all to orient you to your RØDECaster Pro 2. Now, hopefully it's on. Now, that power button is on the back of it, you know, but I'm going to assume that, you know all this good stuff right here. So now, since I know that I plugged a microphone into channel 1, I'm going to just hit this channel 1 button right there. Oh yeah. Now, did you see that right there? Now, after I hit that channel button, I can see that it has selected the pod mic. So now, if you don't have a pod mic, then what you're going to do is you're going to look for the type of microphone that you have. So you should know whether or not it's a cardioid. You should know whether or not it needs phantom power. And if you do not know what type of microphone you have and whether or not it needs phantom power, then what I advise you to do is I advise you to Google your microphone. So Google the microphone that you have and, basically ask Google if this is a phantom powered microphone or read the literature that comes with a microphone. Now, if you bought a microphone used and it does not come with any literature, then of course you're going to utilize Google because that will be your best friend. Or you can reach out to me. I'm rodecastermaster@gmail.com. Send me a picture of it and hey, we'll talk about it, And hey, if I don't know the answer, trust me, I assure you that we can do some deduction and reasoning and we can go through some processes and we can find you an answer. You got what I'm saying? Okay, so anyway, I can see if I hit this channel button that I have selected my pod mic, right? So now that I've selected a pod mic, this is what you can do. You can hit presets. Don't start hitting all these advanced processings. Only thing you're gonna do is you're gonna hit the preset. And then what you do is you hit neutral, right? And then you see how you sound with neutral. And then you hit podcast studio. And then you see how you sound hitting podcast studio. Then you hit that broadcast button. And then you listen to yourself as you're speaking. And then whatever way or whatever voice you feel is perfect for you, then that is the setting that you leave it on. That's what I would do if I'm just starting out, because like I said, this is definitely the RØDECaster Pro 2 tutorial for a beginner's setup. So beginning setup, this is what you're going to do. So now that I know that, my voice is how I want it, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these levels of my microphone. Now, you'll notice that it has, do I have a pointer? Yes, I do have a pointer. You'll notice that it's a red zone right here, a green zone right here, and then there's basically a no zone right here. And then, of course, you have your sound meter that's jumping up and down as I'm speaking right now. So now what I do is that I ensure that my voice is within this green zone. As long as my voice is within this green zone, then guess what? I feel like, things may be bad, but they're not that bad because, hey, I am in the green. I am good to go, So as long as you're in this green where you're speaking, just say a sentence, Hello, Tom was rolling down the street, and then Tom tripped over a carrot. And then when Tom tripped over this carrot, he looked back and saw that he tripped over a carrot, so he decided to pick the carrot up and eat the carrot. And then the carrot was made out of chocolate. And then it perplexed Tom because Tom said, hey, man, carrots are orange. But carrots are orange, chocolate is brown, and this carrot tastes like chocolate. Now, I know that sounds crazy. I know that was a very difficult, stupid sentence, but please do not judge me. I am a very, very extremely silly individual, so please allow me to be as silly as I need to be. Okay, so now you speaking your little sentence, your little crazy sentences, and then you notice that, hey, everything is bouncing within this green. Hey, is everything bouncing within the green? Then, hey, you're good to go. Now, if everything is not bouncing within the green, if it's too low, if it's not to the green yet, then you're going to have to hit this plus button. Now, if it's in the red, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to hit this negative button. And you're going to have to keep talking until your voice is within this optimum zone of green. I'm telling you, man, the RØDECaster Pro 2 and the RØDECaster Pro 1, they've made it so simple so that you'll know, hey, green is good, red is bad, And that's just how it is. So now I'm on broadcasting and I say, oh, man, this is great. If I want to get out of that, I'm going to hit that channel button again. If I want to go back into that because I, selected the wrong microphone or whatever, then, and if this microphone was a microphone that required phantom power, then what I would do is I would press this button right here that says it's an on or off area. And then I just hit this off area and it would turn it on and it would provide phantom power for that microphone. So now that I'm getting ready to go to the main screen, now what I do is that I always look through, I look through things. So I look through everything. You don't have to look through everything. If you're just beginning, you don't need to look through everything. But this is what I do. Hit this little cogwheel right here, right? Now I hit that cogwheel. Now I hit the system button. Now, since I hit the system button, I'm going to hit the information button. And then I'm going to see if I am hardwired, and I am hardwired. That means I have an Ethernet cable connected to the RØDECaster Pro 2. You can hit the check for updates button. It tells me that my firmware is up to date, so I'm good to go. I don't need an update. However, if I did need an update, it would tell me, hey, man, you need an update. And I'll be like, hey, what? I need an update? Yes. Now, you can also connect this via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi. So you can connect to the Wi-Fi, and then you can hit firmware update, and you'll also see whether or not you need to update your technology. Okay, so now we've given you that little basic. So now let me go somewhere else. Show TRS. Bam, that's the Rode show. Output. I'm just looking at different things like processing. Oh, I can see the processing. I don't really want to go to processing though, because I am not a professional or anything. I'm just a beginner, and I'm trying to record a podcast. Now I already had my my USB SD card plugged into the RØDECaster Pro 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of all of this right here, 'cause that's where a show is. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to go back to my main screen, and that's what you're looking at watching right now. And you see my levels are just jumping up and down like, hey, how you doing today? Now with these smart pads, even if you're a beginner, you can still utilize these smart pads. Don't be nervous. The only thing I would do, I would make sure that I have on headphones, and then I would just hit this first button. This first button corresponds to what you see. So it corresponds to this music bed right here. So it corresponds to this music bed. The second one, applause. This is the third one, crickets. Fourth one, trombone. And then if I hit this bank switching button, then I can see that it will go to something else. It will go to other corresponding buttons. Now I'm gonna hit this bank switching button one more time, and I see this is an empty bank. Now it has recycled to bank number 1, because it'll tell you, hey, bank number 2, bank number 3, bank number 1. So it's telling me what bank that I'm in, or what banks that I'm in, and these are the corresponding buttons for that bank. So now that you have that basic, the only thing left to do is, as long as your levels are going to at least unity gain. Now, I always make sure that my vocals are at unity gain. Now, unity gain is this, it'll be thick right here. It'll be really, really be thick. You'll be like, yeah, I know what unity gain is, but you'll always see it as this big thickness. You see this? I think, what did the Rode people say? They said it was a tic tac. They called it tic tac. So yeah, right here at the tic tacs. You keep it right here at the tic tacs, which is around 15 decibels right here, and then you're good to go. Now, if you do more than that, then you may cause distortion. You may cause some distortion. Now, it's not guaranteed that it will distort, but I am just saying that, hey, I leave everything right near there, and hey, everything seems to be good to me. Now, other people may not have that same experience. They may share with you a different story, but that is what I do. So like I said, I make sure that my levels are going where they need to go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fictitious podcast. So now I'm going to hit this record button. Now that I hit the record button, everything's great. So now this is the Nice Shoes podcast, where we have the best shoes on the earth. Hey, I know you want to be like us and you want to buy shoes like we're buying shoes, but you can't buy shoes. So listen to our podcast. Do you understand what I'm saying? Of course you do. Okay, thank you for listening to the Best Shoe Podcast. Next time, this is what we're going to do. We're going to buy 18,349 shoes, and then we're going to deliver them to you. Thank you for listening to the New Shoe Podcast. I don't even know if I said New Shoe Podcast in the beginning, but if I didn't, then hey, this is the New Shoe Podcast. We'll talk to you later. Now, you see, I just created my podcast, right? So now I'm like, oh man, thank you. I am so happy that I've created my podcast. Now I have options on what I want to do. If I feel that my podcast is perfect and I feel like that I don't need to do any audio editing, if I feel like this is just the awesome version of the podcast, then what I can do is that I can take the SD card out of my RØDECaster Pro 2 and I can upload that setting. I mean, not the setting, but I can upload that episode to whatever podcasting hosting site that I want to. However, I also, if I have a computer, then I could have an app called Road Central, and I could transfer the podcast that I have through the USB cord to my computer using Road Central. Now, we're not going to do that because that is more complicated, and we're trying to do the basic beginner's version of a setup. So we have successfully recorded a podcast, and the only thing we have to do is remove our SD card and then decide where we're going to send that version of that podcast. Now, what we could also do is that we could just email that MP3 to ourselves. And now we have a version of the MP3 that we just created as that podcast. And now we can upload it to different podcasting sites. You got me? Now, for me, that is the basic, quick, dry, in a hurry version of beginning podcasting. So I think I've covered everything that I would do as a beginner if I was just starting and I just wanted to get a good overview of what to do. Now, this is what I will say. Hold on, let me hit this show button. Oh, hold on, let me go back. Okay, so now I'm going to hit this cog that's up in the right-hand corner. And now I'm going to hit show. Now it tells me how many recordings I have. So now I can see that I have 7 recordings on this SD card that I've plugged into this RØDECaster Pro 2, right? Now you see there's an option of importing and there's an option of exporting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit this recordings button and I can see that on the so now you see, I'm hoping that you just heard all of this talking. We'll see if you heard talking right here. I looked at my signals and I saw that the microphone was not moving, so maybe you did not hear the playback of the broadcast or the podcast, the fake podcast that I just released. So now this is what we're going to do. I showed you, I'm going to go back to this main camera. Now, basically what I've done, I have successfully showed you how to record a podcast, how to export it, and I've showed you the import options as well. We did not utilize the Road Central app because, I didn't want to add complications to that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at this video and I'm going to listen to see whether or not you could hear the podcast that I hit the play button on, because what happened was when I hit the play button, I looked at my window, and my window in Ecamm Live, the meters did not move. So since the meters did not move, it made me think maybe you could not hear the playback of the podcast. But maybe you could, because I don't have headphones on. And this is the reason why when you're doing any type of show, especially a podcast, then guess what? You need to have headphones. They're massively important so that you can monitor your output. You got what I'm saying? Now, I am breaking the rules. That is what I am doing. So I am going through, or I am walking through life with the philosophy of do as I say, not as I do. You got what I'm saying? Now, I know that's a bad example, but is it really? No, not really. I understand that I don't really need to hear what I'm saying, but I should have my headphones on because I should be monitoring what I say. You got what I'm saying? And if you ever did radio, then you cannot. A cardinal rule is always have headphones. That's just how you're supposed to do things. You got what I'm saying? But listen, this is the Road Show where we provide tips, tools, and information for non-professional roadcasters and eCamp Live users. I want you to join me on my journey, and I'm so happy that you are here with me. And you know what? I think I've did everything. Yeah, I'm a good non-professional. You know what? I'm getting ready to go. Peace.